book. It was challenging, the first one.
Because he wanted to be in the place of love.
Somebody came up with the idea.
And he was 100% accurate in his prediction.
Selenium, iodine, or calcium, you don't have to know any of that stuff. All you have to be able to do is chew.
This is the strange, very strange universe panel. Now again, before I ask the question, but now more people are here. How many people were not here yesterday? Why not?
Because they came to see us. That's why.
Okay, so anything that happens at the New Life Expo, or most things, if you go to newlifeexpo.com, which is pretty easy, you can download the panels, lectures, and workshops. You can download it, share it with your friends. Don't sell them, but just share it with your friends. Now the audio, listen to this one. The audio now, not only can you buy the CDs, and we have old tapes, but you'll be able to download the audios onto your iPod, onto your computer. Very cool. So if you did miss it, or if you want to save it, or if you want to remember, or if you thought you heard something you're not sure, if you want to share it with your friends, newlifeexpo.com. Plus, if you email us at newlifeexpo.com, you'll be on the email list, and what we do is every week we send you a different article of something very cool. And strange. But good. Because remember, what is strange now is not strange 10 years from now or 20 years from now, as you've learned but from coming here. I mean, over 20 years ago, when we talked about yoga or herbs and nutrition or magnets or energy or crystals or acupuncture or anything like that, it was a little strange. Now it's normal. Okay. So now we're going to talk about the normal, abnormal, paranormal, supernormal, and Danyan. So I'm going to turn over to Sean David Morton. You know, in looking through the panel, this is definitely the best, strangest group you're going to see in a very long time. So, ladies and gentlemen, the Sean David Morton.
Hey guys, happy Sunday. Praise the Lord and all that stuff. How you guys doing? Can I get an amen? Oh, come on. Can I get a hallelujah? All right, so it's Sunday. There you go. You've had your churchiosity. Yes. Christian, come on up, buddy. Christian has been a very, very fantastic psychic at the show. You've probably all gotten readings from Christian. So welcome, Christian. Christian's going to join the panel today. So it's all gag and fun. I just got to tell you about this. I went to the circus last night. It was great. It rocked. It really is the greatest show on earth. It's so fantastic. In California, we're used to going to Vegas, and you know they have those things in Las Vegas, the Cirque du Soleil shows, those shows like that, where it's like I am in a jockstrap and now I will pose with my boyfriend on a ball while I am making a baby smoke. Because we are French and we are very snotty. I'm telling you, this was great. There was some crazy Latino guy in a cage full of tigers. They shot 2 people out of a cannon. They had really fun clowns, not the clowns that I'm afraid of, but the really good clowns. And so if you get a chance to go, it really is the greatest show on earth outside, and that's the segue into the second greatest show on earth, ladies and gentlemen. You can tell the circus is in town because the Strange Universe panel is here, ladies and gentlemen. So usually it's how most people are dressed here, so it's like, just actually on kind of a serious note, before we start out, if you guys could just do something for me, just to close your eyes, and I just want to spend a small moment in prayer for a friend of ours who has passed away. Many of you may have known Timar, who was on the panels here as a channeler, and she died of a brain tumor. So if you guys could close your eyes for just a moment and just say a moment of silent prayer for Timar. She was one of our honored elders. She was a person that was a pioneer in this kind of work. And so with our prayers, we send her to the next transition, to the next place where she needs to go, to the next place where she can be do the greatest good for the greatest number of people. and amen. Thank you very much. Thank you. So, continuing on the work here, let me just introduce the panel because we've got lots of people, we got lots of stuff to talk about. I'm going to pull this back so you guys can all see. My job is to facilitate the opinions and the experiences and the fantastic personalities of the people on the panel. The opinions expressed on the Strange Universe panel are not necessarily those of the New Life Expo, Sean David Morton, or Mark Becker. I used to have to say that when Ron is here, actually, but it's we love Ron. Anyway, so let me just start. Actually, I'll start at this end and see if I can just kind of come all the way down here, just by way of introducing some folks here. This first gentleman, which I hope to be a regular on the panel in the future. He is, I have nothing but respect for the people that are working psychics here, or I'm sorry, not psychics, but intuitives, I guess, it's a more politically correct term. I've had a reading with him. My wife's had a reading with him. He does some fantastic work. He works on a number of multi-dimensional realms in his work, so you'll have a chance to see him later on today. So please let me introduce Christian. This next gentleman is he literally needs no introduction. So no, he needs no introduction. He is the Godfather soul, the original Godfather soul. He is the Ayatollah rock and roll, and the dean of the University of Spiritual Diversity. Ladies and gentlemen, the outrageous, the superb, the supreme Reverend James Capers. Isn't he great? I love the way he dresses. He had to beat up Prince for that outfit. I'll just let you know. So,
Thank you.
Prince lives in Beverly Hills now. He's a Jehovah's Witness. I'm not kidding. He knocks on doors in Beverly Hills. And people open the door and they go, "Oh, nobody's here." And they close the door because he's like that high. Which has got to really suck if you're a Jehovah's Witness. My attitude is if you're going to be knocking on doors anyway, don't you think they should just give them the mail to deliver? Don't you think? It's like, have you heard the word of the Lord today? Oh, by the way, here's your cable bill. So it's one other thing about Jehovah's Witnesses is they only believe 144,000 people are going to get into heaven. Did you know that? How much would it suck if you were Jehovah's Witnesses and then you proselytize this one guy who goes, "Absolutely, I believe." The rapture occurs, you're standing in line, 144,001, and the guy you just knocked on his door is in front of you. You're like, darn. So, right. Next lady coming up here, she and her mother both are natural psychics and intuitives. She is originally from New York City. You're from New York. You're from Jersey. I'm sorry. She's originally from Jersey. Jersey, great place, Jersey. Isn't the state motto is what's that smell? I think in New Jersey. Find the smell. Oh, the Garden State. Yes. Okay. I'm sorry. Anyway, she is a natural intuitive. She's been a natural intuitive and worked actually as a psychic and intuitive. She's worked for police forces. She has her own TV show, Psychic Detective. She writes a column for a major national newspaper, an astrology column. She's got my goodness, is Psychic Detectives still on the air? Psychic Detectives, the show that you were working on.
Yeah.
So
but we have a new show coming out.
What's the new show?
The new show is going to be coming out, and it's all about marriages and babies being born and me predicting them. So you'll be seeing that in the fall.
Okay, Jill Dane predicting marriages and babies being born. Okay, all right.
The love muffin
Yeah,
psychic.
the love muffin. Yeah, okay. So, ladies and gentlemen, the love muffin psychic, Jill Dane. Ladies and gentlemen, right here. Stand up, Jill.
Love muffin.
This next gentleman has been my very, very bestest, greatest friend for so many years, and we have a lot of fun when he's up here. And today, I'm all about giving props and all about giving respect. I have to say that this man, with his grace, with his humor, with his love, has accomplished so much to educate so many people. There have been movies made about this gentleman. He is a best-selling author that has sold millions of books. We would never have the phrase "go into the light" if it was not for this man. His original near-death experiences were originally investigated by forensic psychiatrist, which is kind of an oxymoron, but forensic psychiatrist Dr. Raymond Moody. and he has done more to help those in transition than I think anybody on the planet. He set up a national organization called Compassion in Action, CIA. He visits veterans associations, hospitals all across the world. He speaks anywhere people ask him to speak. We needed somebody to give a talk at a Burger King, and he showed up. It was just fantastic. And he is once again somebody that deserves a phenomenal amount of respect. And most people do not understand how much this gentleman has changed the consciousness simply because he has such a good sense of humor and is so easygoing about him. His foot hurts and his hip hurts. He's the mascot for his college. He literally is the rambling wreck from Georgia Tech. This man is so mean. This man is so mean that he died 5 times and God didn't want him.
Oh my God! Oh, Sean, that's rough.
This man is so huge. He's not only been on Oprah, he's been on Oprah. So, ladies and gentlemen, a fantastic individual, a person that has changed the mindset, a person that has literally taken death, smacked it in the face, and wrestled it to the ground. Dannion Brinkley.
I'm standing up for that. And thank all of you for coming.
Our next guest on the panel, like I said, this is a fantastic day to be here. This is a superstar panel. This is another gentleman that is a fantastic intuitive, a psychic, a person that has been featured on literally dozens of national television programs. He has worked with the police, worked with local police force, worked with national police forces. He's a snappy dresser and a heck of a dancer, ladies and gentlemen. He does not have eyes on top of his head, even though that's where he always wears his sunglasses, because he keeps his long flowing locks back. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. John Oliver, fantastic gentleman. Told you. He's on Dance with the Stars next week. You can see. This next individual has been, I've taken kind of a personal hand in helping her when she came to us at the Conscious Life Expo in Los Angeles. She literally was a poor little homeless child from New Orleans. She has been through so much personal tragedy because her house, her parents' house, her entire family was washed away in the hurricane in New Orleans, Louisiana. She came out to Southern California to kind of start a new life in the medical field, but her dream was always to find missing children, to help police forces, help the FBI, to have a career in actually being an intuitive and interacting with all the different levels and planes of existence, and being out there and counseling and helping people. And in the last 3 years or so, she has come so far. She's overcome her shyness. She's overcome her challenges about whether or not, well, her fantastic abilities, but we hopefully gave her the confidence to get out there and start talking to people and start doing all the things that she's done. So now she's on the Strange Universe panel. She's been our friend. She's our homegirl, living in Southern California with 40 now. So, ladies and gentlemen, Miss Stacy Breeze. Stacy Breeze. And last but certainly not least, he is my brother from another mother. We share the same last name, not the same parents, but the same soul, the same drive, the same power and energy. He's got an ad actually on the back of the his Lightspeed Learning, which is actually on the back of the New Life Expo magazine. On the front, when are you going to change this picture, Mark? What's the deal with this lady in Miami? What's going on? Come on, put an angel on there or something. He's one of the pioneers of Lightspeed Learning. He is an international lecturer. He's a world traveler. He leads tours to South America. We're talking about going and diving the steps in Bimini off in the Bahamas. So he is, like I said, a lecturer, a scientist, an intuitive, a person who has amped up things to the next level. As a matter of fact, anybody ever seen that show, the TV show Chuck? Anybody ever seen the TV show Chuck? Have you seen the TV show Chuck? When Chuck has that intersect where he flashes with all the different lights and sounds and pictures and whatever, this is kind of the Lightspeed modality that this gentleman is teaching, actually taking learning and wisdom to a whole new level. So, ladies and gentlemen, my friend, my brother from another mother, Mr. Thomas Morton. The theme of today's prophecies has to do with ancient prophecies and modern predictions. Never before in human history have we seen so many prophetic modalities, from the Great Pyramid of Giza to the Mayan calendar, to the Aztec calendar, to the Hopi elders, to the living descendants of the Mayan Indians now, all telling us that there is a great change coming. We've seen it politically, we've seen it economically, we've seen it in the souls of the people around the world. So that's what we're going to try to get out of our folks today. And like I said, we have such a large panel today, and I know they have a lot to say. So I'm going to I just need to I might have to move people along and sort of cut things down a little bit. So actually, we're going to start at this end of the panel. If you want to, I'm sorry you have to share the mic and sort of pass it along. But Thomas, if you want to tell us, we're talking about Bimini, we're talking about Atlantis. What have you found in the ancient world that you think applies to what's going on today?
Well, first of all, we've had a tremendous amount of earth changes prior to this the time we're in right now. We've actually proven that the polarity in the South Atlantic Ocean is opposite than it was, 11 or 13,000 years ago. So we know that North Pole and South Pole is switched at one point. It does not like it does a flip the whole planet. It collapses to 0 point. It does a switch at the core and comes up opposite on the other side. So there isn't like a major flip that we go through. Your toilet might flush the opposite direction, but
it's an electromagnetic flip.
It's electromagnetic flip. Now, there's also something that takes place in the magnetosphere, and the ground plane's affected. To take a long story real short, the ground plane obviously is where we're standing, and continental drift sometimes takes place. Well, the Mayans left us a solution for that about 2,000 years ago. It was found in the 90s. The Association for Research and Enlightenment and others actually were locating it. And there was a whole group of individuals that went out, and I was part of that project in 95 where we copied it all over the world. And what it is it really buffers that switch as far as its catastrophic normal effect it would have on us on the ground plane. It has to do with the magnetosphere and what's called independent ley line triangulation. It's more than you probably want to hear right now. We have time to tell you. But the fact is that the prophecies have all shown us that clearly everybody's in alignment that we're going to go through some type of a switch here. What we have been conditioned to do is be in fear, which is really where we don't want to be. We want to be in a whole entire different place of actually assisting. And it might not be like this catastrophic thing that a lot of people fear in their heads and go through. It could be that what many are prophesizing is a very accelerated, heightened state of consciousness very quickly. The entire collective, as in everyone on the planet, shifts and goes up higher. So, and we're also written in the Akashic records that we never have to go through this again, since this whole earth change thing is an actual effect of a cause of us being in this discordant activity. Well, we're really in discordant feeling and thought, generating energy out into the atmosphere and creating disharmony. The planet actually gets to a point where it just kind of shakes us off like fleas. That never happens again, and maybe doesn't happen this time. If we can assist each other to raise in consciousness and discontinue on the inner planes the negative thoughts and the negative feelings that we're processing through, and actually not participate with those, will actually create a collective 100th monkey effect, and it will take form in everybody, and everybody will start to get conscious of this. And that's our whole project here with Lightspeed, is gifting back the planet our natural abilities to be able to tap into this and actually identify these discordant thoughts and feelings at these levels. It's an inner mastery piece that we all have. It's just a matter of connecting it up quicker. If we can get there faster, we can discreate what we've created, and therefore the effect of the cause that would normally come through as being catastrophic is transmuted and moves on. And we can actually utilize that energy for something real positive.
There you go. Thomas Morton, there you are. I'm not so sure the 100 monkey effect works, because I've actually seen the U.S. Senate on C-SPAN, and it doesn't seem to... Stacy Breeze, a lot of shifts. You would think that if a lot of things are going on, and I'm going to ask this of all the psychics and intuitives on the panel here, if all these shifts are going on, that there should be a lot of advice. There should be a lot of things coming over from the other side, talking about what may happen or may transitions. Now, you guys are kind of on the front lines. You and John and James and Jill and everybody else out there. are on the front lines because you're doing work with people on a day-to-day basis, doing consulting, intuitive consulting. Are you seeing these angelic forces, these spirit forces, starting to tell us about things and changes that are going to go on in the future?
I am actually. A lot of my
Pull the mic
clients,
closer, please. There you go.
a lot of the clients that have been coming to me lately, I've realized, even though they're really connected and they do a lot of meditation, they're still really lacking a lot of tools that we're going to need in the next few months to actually help manage the electrical and the magnetic changes that are going on in our body as that sun is penetrating and as our third dimension is actually diminishing, and we're actually going in. We need to actually use the harmonics of the fourth and the fifth dimension to actually help us with its platonic solids of sacred geometry or the elements of love and forgiveness. We need to actually construct and kind of go in and let go a lot of that, of the let go of a lot of the, and have a lot of forgiveness with yourself, because I think as we actually are going through this transition and you're feeling the magnetic and the shifts in other people, you actually need to be able to, I'm realizing that a lot of, even though light workers, they're not able to handle the energy from the other people that are really kind of walking around unconsciously, and they're feeling the shift and they're nervous and they don't know why. So I really think that we need to learn how to manage and open and close our chakras properly to actually be able to utilize the energy and emotions that the others are carrying. And I think that as we start to wake up, there's a stepping up of energy that's taking place with us purging our energy. So it's really a good time. I listened to you speak yesterday, and he talked a lot about forgiveness, and because you really can't take that with you when you go. So you really need to let go and shed some of that old layering a part of you as the earth is shedding that energy as well for the third dimension, and as we're moving into the fourth and the fifth. Really important.
Cool. Stacey Breeze, ladies and gentlemen, there you go. Great advice. Actually, you're probably going to have to take that other mic actually and pass it down. You got enough rope there, Daniel? Okay. All right, good. You still have it. Take it. Take it, buddy.
What was the question?
Just go do your thing. You have more experience probably with going down to the Yucatan and Chichen Itza and Palenque, and you have so much experience. You lead tours to Egypt. I mean, almost every year. So you have
any place they have a death cult, I go.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, it's well, what John was talking about, the mythology of the Anubis. The Anubis weighs the heart against the Ma'at of the feather. And then if your soul is found wanting, he feeds you to Baba the Soul Eater, who chews you up and kind of poops you out, which is why the world is a crappy place.
Okay, I got it. Okay, none of that ever happens, everybody. None of that ever happens, really? And I agree.
A big dog with a
I like all those mythology. I like all those mythologies myself. But watch, it's what John is also saying. Look, every 25,800 years, our little galaxy called the Milky Way makes a processional through the constellation. Right now we're at a period of what we call the Piscean Age going into the Aquarian Age. The last 5,000, this is all Mayan culture. And the Mayans gathered it from a lot of different places. But the Mayans and the Olmecs created a culture based on a 25,800 year cycle of our solar system in a galaxy called the Milky Way in the universe. We're in the last 150 years of a 5,000 year cycle. That means from polarity shifts and earth shifts, it means that what's above the water can go below the water, except the Mayans don't predict that this time. They predict an electromagnetic shift, and they're predicting the nature of the solar flares in 2010 and 2011 would have completely prepared the consciousness. And like Sean David said, everybody, we are watching remarkable change. The illusion of our credit disappeared in 2 months. A 40-year history of our financial system disappeared. And if you look at your 401k and your pension and all that you save for, it's gone. Because we trusted something that wasn't real.
Amen.
And we've trusted things that aren't real. And why you come to the New Life Expo, and why we associate each other and we look at the booths upstairs, is we have to find what's real. This is what's real. You are a great, powerful, and mighty spiritual being. You have dignity, you have direction, and you have purpose. Because somewhere in the heavens, they believe that there is nobody better than you to uniquely inhabit this earth at this particular transition period to just be yourself. naturally being who you are. These illusions that we're living in that now create the greatest amount of stress never were real anyway. You're a spiritual being, not a credit rating. Okay? Now, that story, and you come here and you listen to change your perspective and to feel what's real. That's what each of us are trying to do. Now, this Nubus fairy crocodile crapper that John and Sean were talking about, so please come to my lecture. I'm more fun there. But the measure of this life, when you enter the final stage, when you lift out of your body and you go down this tunnel and you come into this place of light, and you're met by this system or this being, and it's really a system, everybody, and this will happen to every single one of you, no matter what. You see your life pass before you in a 360-degree panorama. You have missed absolutely nothing. You know how many nose was in the hair of the, how many hairs was in the nose of the doctor who pulled you from your mother. You know everything that ever happened. You watch it from a second-person point of view as if you were your own best friend. And then you literally become every person that you ever encounter, and you feel the direct results of your interaction between you and that person. So like we're all saying, the way to truly persevere in these changing times is first know you were chosen to be here because divinity believes you are the best there ever could be as this system, a new age, is being born. Okay? Now, the meaning of life. When you get...
Here it is. Take a breath.
Here it is. When you get to the end of this panoramic life of you, there is a system of judgment. And the system of judgment goes like this. This is my interpretation. If God couldn't come today and God sent you, in the life you just reviewed, what difference did God make? So it's about you expressing your divinity. And no matter what's going on and how crazy it is, as this new system of government comes into place and this new nationalized one world order comes into place, we adapt to it and deal with it. But we never lose ourselves. Because if God couldn't come today and God sent us, in the life you just reviewed, what difference did your divinity make? If you hold on to that, kindness becomes a natural art. And a part of this transition, everybody, is to get us to look at our neighbors. How can we help? How can we care? How can we hope? How can we inspire? How can we make safe? Because that's the biggest part. This world is going to keep doing whatever it's doing, and it's evolving just like we're evolving. But that can't be the greater part. We're part is adapting to what it is and remembering, if divinity couldn't come today and it sent us, let this day be the measure of how many smiles, how much courtesy, how much care, how much concern, and making 2 or 3 new friends. And keeping that connection, because it is our love of our spiritual identity that brings the power that protects and transforms this earth from quantum theory, from electrodynamic theory, from consciousness, from mythologies that we've all heard. So I've been going to the Yucatan for 40 years. And I became fixated with pyramid structures, and I've been everywhere in the world there is a pyramid. And those entities or those structures, if you look at not how magnificent the structure is or how brilliantly it was engineered and built, you look at exactly where on the planet it is. And then you look at longitude and latitude, and then you look at electromagnetic grids, which are created by geophysicists. Not by some guy in the mountains contemplating his navel eating coca leaves, but a damn geophysicist. And these buildings and structures sit on those exact lines that can balance out this energy flux that we go through. So somebody long before we got here knew this. Someone put this on the earth, and someone sees that the markers and the boundaries are still here to balance whatever happens. The universe is doing what she's doing. What we have to do is remember to do what we're supposed to be doing. If divinity couldn't come today, and divinity has sent us, in the life we review today, what difference did divinity make? And it doesn't matter what happens after that. No one dies, and no one goes to hell. So if you know you don't die, and you know don't go to hell, then I don't care if the planet flips over. I don't care what it does. What are they going to do? Kill me? What big deal? Who's scared of that? Thank you.
There you go. Can I get a big rousing amen?
Amen.
That's right. The Danyan. One more time for the Danyan. That's why he's a big dog right there, folks.
There you go.
You got me crying now, Danyan. I don't know what to do. Jill
ready?
Dane.
Okay.
Hard act to follow, but go ahead. You can do it.
No, I agree with a lot of things, but first of all, God is here. And second of all, this is called heaven, where we are right now. But besides that, with all the new technologies, and everybody has this fear for 2012, that's all I've been hearing for the past 2 years is, Jill, the world's going to end in 2012. And I said, no, it's not. You're going to wake up just like in the 1999 when everybody kept calling me and saying, the world's going to end in 2000 and computers are going to crash. And I said, no, it's not. I was even here saying that. And I said, you're going to wake up and it's going to be the same day. And look what happened. It was the same day. The one good thing about, even though I don't like putting people have fears in their minds because everybody should be more positive, that you're getting closer with spirituality, that's true. You're getting closer with your family members that you don't speak with. You're getting, if I could say, you're getting more in tuned. But also, all these new technologies are coming out with the stem cell. It's going to be helping so many people with diabetes and Parkinson's, and I've been saying it every time I'm here, and I predicted that the stem cell would get passed last time I was here, and even a year ago, and look what just got passed. They're funding money. So there's going to be cures for cancer. I mean, by 2012, all these things are going to happen. That's what's going to happen by 2012. Our economy will pick up. All the people, you can only go down and then arise. And that's what's going to happen with everyone's energy together. The economy is going to rise. The nation's going to rise. And the reason why our economy went down is because we had a president in there that made our economy go down. So now we have Obama, but we have Hillary Clinton and Bill Clinton in the office. And you're going to start to see how our economy, and you're going to see by 2012, people are going to have jobs. They're going to have finances back in their banks. Their health is going to start getting better because all these new technologies. And the people that do have cancer, there's going to be cures by that time. You're going to see that for yourself. So I love 2012.
There you go. Jill Dane, ladies and gentlemen. And once again, somebody said, what if you texted all around the world and everybody got a text on their cell phone or on their email or whatever that said the world is going to end tomorrow? What kind of panic would that actually what would create? What would ensue? But what would happen? What would happen in the same instance if you got the same text that said tomorrow the world begins instead of ending? And I'm just thinking everybody would go, oh, well, that's weird.
And that's what's going to happen. The world is going to begin again. All these fears are going to go away.
Because that's the whole point of 2012. It's the beginning of something new. And let me just point out one.
That's what the Mayans, if you look at what the Mayans say, they don't say it's going to be that.
Take the mic because it's on, so it records.
If you listen, the 2012 theory comes from a combination of the Olmec Toltec Mayan calendar.
Aztec as well.
Well, not Aztec is a different structure. Okay. Well, one of us in 3, one is in 13, and one of them's in a set of 7.
13 to 20.
Okay, so what the Mayans, who we're basing this 2012 business off of, they have never said it. The Mayans have never said 2012 is the end of anything. It's just like Sean said, and just like Jill said, it's the beginning of something. In order for the new to live, the old must pass away. So anytime you hear that, 2012 is the end of something, it's the end of something but the beginning of something else. And I think it was a Frenchman and 2 other white guys who translated the Mayan technology to say it was the end of time. But the Mayans never say it. So a new world is being born and an old one is passing away. And you can't get rid of this one fast enough to suit me. All right.
And let me, before we hand it to Reverend James, I just want to point out the difference between 2000 and 2012. And I might also want to add what we did to fix things. at the New Life Expo, I remember having a panel in 1997 where we were talking about Y2K at that particular time. And we had one of the top experts in the world on it who said, well, it's going to be kind of a non-event. We had other people that said it was going to be a big deal. But trillions of dollars were spent fixing this problem. And it came from this community that started talking about the challenges with the computers and whatever else. And by the way, the Federal Reserve pulled out billions of extra dollars on in December of 1999, thinking there was going to be a big run on the banks, which then there was an economic collapse that happened, another kind of recession that occurred right before the elections of 2000 the next year, as they were reabsorbing all that money back into it. So there's a lot of money that was spent to stop it. And the difference is 2000, yeah, okay, we had Y2K and there was a lot of speculation. 2012 is the first time you've got scientists on the one hand saying that we're moving into a savage solar cycle of cycle 24 where there's direct possible threats to the Earth, that the gravity is changing, et cetera, et cetera. You've got the Mayans saying the same thing. You've got the Great Pyramid of Giza talking about the River of Fire, some cosmic event that occurs between 2012 and 2014. So everything is lining up. Science is lining up. Economics is lining up. The fourth turning is lining up. Mythology is lining up. All these ancient cultures are lining up. So it's all lining up to bring us to some grand finale of one thing and the beginning of something else. Reverend James Capers, go on, take it.
Thank you all for being here today. And I see so many people who are returning every year and getting knowledge and wisdom. It is wonderful for being a part of us and this community. We all want to acknowledge you for doing such a good job. Give yourself a clap. Come on. We love you, we admire you, and we appreciate you coming to hear us. I spent some time last May in Moscow, Russia, with the grandson of Rasputin, and we channeled his spirit. And I was supposed to have my book out, but you know, Doc, he's so lazy. Pray for me, please. I'm going to have to get together with Damien's wife so she can help me get this book together. That blessed, yes, and we actually just met today. I just love her. She's just absolutely beautiful, a beautiful woman.
Where is Kat? She puts up with so much.
Are you here? Will you stand up so we can give you a clap? We love you. We love you.
She puts up with all of us calling Daniel in the middle of the night. Crazy.
Well, anyway, I want to give you some information about the prophecies that Rasputin gave. One of the prophecies that I have been talking about, actually from the year 2002, was cybernetic weapons, leaving now from nuclear weapons to computerized weapons. The ability of making software that is able to intercept nuclear weapons and change their destiny. What better thing to do is not to have weapons, but to be able to control them.
So is this like Terminator technology? It's like
yes,
robots
well,
sent back from the future.
Yeah, actually, cybernetic.
Like Hillary Clinton.
Cybernetic weapons have actually been developed by the Japanese. It first was actually introduced about 4 or 5 years ago, and it's been developed by South Korea, China, and India. So those are the nations that have actually developed superior computerized interaction weapons. So if you just noticed, just about 6 or 7 months ago, it was on CNN, and they were saying cybernetic weapons are real, and that the U.S. government had just been infiltrated. The security systems of the United States government had been infiltrated by Russia. So that is public information that we have been giving from this panel. So when you talk about the information we give you,
Amen.
Oh, that's right, damn. Also, I just want to say that this morning I did speak to Tamar. Bless her heart. Let's give her a clap. Come on. I spoke to Tamar this morning. She came to me. Now, it's really strange because I always have a speech that I'm going to do that's already pre-done, and Mark will tell you for years he's known me. But for some strange reason, this Sunday, it's an open forum, and I didn't understand why I was doing an open forum and why I was just giving messages today. And so Tamar, who we absolutely loved, and I was very close, I'd grown so close to her over the years. She came stepping in the room this morning. I said, thank God I got clothes on. And she said to me, she said, James, you're a mouthpiece. I want you to give a message from me today. Will you do it? I said, I love you, I honor you, and it will be a privilege. So I will be giving a message. So she will be spoken. You will hear her voice today. And if you want to know what she has to say, you come to that 1 o'clock lecture, because my baby, I will be speaking her words today because she's greatly loved. Thank you very much.
Amen. There you go. Okay, he's a rookie on the panel, but certainly not a rookie to all this other stuff that's going on. And you know, when you and I had a reading, I think the last time, you deal, Christian, you deal with some fascinating entities. You deal with not only a spirit world,
Nature spirits, nature people,
but
yes,
you also
yes.
deal with
Angels,
nature spirits
archangels.
as well. You know, a whole Lord of the Rings pantheon of elves and gnomes and hobbits and whatever else. What's
Even
going on
Harry
with-
Potter now and then.
There you go. So dealing with the nature world that you deal with, what does the nature world have to say about all this? What does the earth itself that you speak to have to
Okay.
say about what's going on?
Can I take this whole topic and broaden it a little bit?
You can do whatever you
Okay.
want.
You know, we have all this controversy about 2012 and the Mayan calendar and the change and this pros and cons, what's going to happen. And we've talked about Egypt and we talked about the Mayan civilizations. We can actually go back about 40,000 years, which is much older, and we find a lot of this stuff is explained in this ancient wisdom. And we were always looking for textual things and things we tend to understand, which is why we look for the Egyptians and the Mayans, those records we can understand. But in the architecture, in the art, stories are being told 40,000 years ago, before language started, with the Sumerians, and then the Akkadians, and then the Babylonians, the Phoenicians. Okay, and they've explained a lot of these things. Now this 2012 thing is a cycle that the world is going through, but it isn't the question, is the world going to go away? It's more about the universe. This whole universe is going to go away, and guess what? It comes back. Not in 2012, it's just a cycle of things. Now, the way the universe is structured is all these planets and these galaxies and whatever are actually consciousnesses, the ancients would say. This is called the ancient wisdom. All consciousness evolves from the lowest rock to plants to animals to humans, and there's stuff above us. And within there's nature spirits, and there's angels, and there's archangels. There's logos, there's Diane Cohen, there's the Illuminati, there's the Brotherhood. There's all these different levels of consciousness. But guess what? The ancients say, you know what? We have to evolve beyond that. We become planets. We become galaxies. We also become universes. Universe itself is a life. It's one of us at some past time. So eventually we will evolve to that. So evolution is the thing. Everything is changing. As these things change, the energies change everywhere. So for example, the earth change that we're concerned about might have some effect being caused on it from the sun, which has all different kinds of polarities going on, not the structure we have. And also from the other planets. All of them are interacting. All of them are changing for a reason, to change our environment so that we can raise our consciousness, because we have to keep ratcheting up in this evolutionary cycle so we can achieve something higher. We're actually through a halfway stage of human development. The density is going away. We're beyond the hard part. We're actually becoming lighter, literally lighter, and that means we're becoming more spiritual. Now, spirit is something way above us. It's a part of us, but it's way above us. And we have many bodies, physical bodies like this, astral bodies, mental bodies, causal bodies, which is our ego, energy bodies, which gives us health. And we have to evolve through those. Now, the nature spirits that Sean was talking about actually preceded us, and we were nature spirits at one time. We just evolved beyond that. What makes us different than all life that we understand is our ego. Our ego. Nature spirits don't have an ego yet, nor do angels. They don't use that. The ego allows us to learn and discern so that we can decide for ourselves what's true. Once we learn that truth, we give up the ego, and that's how we start evolving higher into spiritual forms. Now, the nature spirits tell us we are changing so quickly that everywhere they turn, the forests are gone, the mountains are gone, everything's leveled, okay? So now the nature spirits and angels, by the way, there's a direct connection between angels and nature spirits. They want to now be involved in our lives, because when we leave this physical plane and start becoming lighter and more spiritual, guess who inherits the earth? The nature spirits. It'll now be their turn, okay? It's all one great big cycle. And when we were talking about that, the feather and the heart measure and that, weighing that, the ancients would say it more like this. As we rise up in consciousness and we lose that density, and we all go through this cycle, it's reincarnation. When we get to that phase, we're beyond our own ego at the moment, and we're just looking at 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 things in our entire life that were of value. And we spend maybe 1,000 years even in heaven, okay? We actually spend longer in the higher realms than the lower ones, reflecting on just those things. What was so great about us? And then we take those few things and we add it to this accumulation of us, which we call our higher self. And by adding it to that, we're progressing. We become bigger and bigger or more meaningful beings. And that's how we rise in consciousness. Now, consciousness, you have to imagine it like a big spiraling coil, endless coil, infinitely down, infinitely up. We only look at segments of it. Some call it 7 planes of existence, some say 10, some say 14, okay? Actually, the higher number is correct, but we can't perceive those as well, okay? So every time this universe goes away and comes back again, everything in it, including the rocks, is just raised a level. And we go up that other notch of 7, 10, or 14 cycles. Now, where the nature people come in, they represent 2 lower cycles than we are, and there's also 3 cycles above us, and also 2 cycles above that, 2 planes above that, which happen to overlap the next cycle, And this is where we have the 14 chakras too sometimes. Those 2 become, our 2 highest ones now become the 2 lowest ones in the next evolution of all of life. So we're like a grain of sand in existence. It isn't just about us. There's life higher than us, believe it or not. Okay? Have you seen this? Okay. And we're just like one of those grains. What distinguishes us is we know we're this grain of sand and we're very concerned about it. Okay? And so as we evolve and we lose the ego, we're no longer concerned about ourselves. That's where we become one. Once the ego goes away, that's when we can become one. That's the nirvana. Okay? And that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to move forward because that's called progress, and that's the definition of life from the ancients. It's also part of the Trinity, will, the wisdom, and the action of the absoluteness, or God, if you prefer. Okay? But that movement, that progress is what life is. It's also called the feminine. Okay? So we are designed inherently to progress, and that's how we will all succeed. But there is no ending point. It's just progress. It goes on and on and on. And there will be a time when you will be a universe yourself.
There you go. Christian, ladies and gentlemen. And,
that was great. I liked it. I don't know if you did.
Just to give you some props here, Christian, what's your booth number, please?
415. Is that right, Christian?
415. Hey, that's the Northern California area code. There you go. So 415. He's in booth 415. Stacy, you got to.
Now in California.
Yeah. 415. And also, just so you know, our lovely friend Stacy Breeze, her talk has been moved to 1 o'clock after this, so that you can go see Stacy if you like. Just let me give you just real quick in the Central Park room. So Stacy's going to be at 1 o'clock in the Central Park room. Reverend James Capers is at 1 o'clock in the Kips Bay room. The Danyon is in the Murray Hill room on the 4th floor. When are they going to redecorate that room, Mark? Yeah. Murray Hill at 2 p.m. Jill Dane is at 3 p.m. right after him in the Murray Hill room. The very handsome John Oliver is here at 4 p.m. I'm sorry I have to follow John Oliver after that because he's a hard act to follow. And then I got a special event later on. So Stacy, you had a comment about what Christian was saying. Take it. Speak up.
As Christian was saying earlier, my guides had woke me up in the middle of the night and had given me a couple of things they wanted you to know that's going to actually be possible. And I'm thinking, wow, where is this going to kind of all fit in? I'll have to just kind of go with the flow. But just real quickly, they want to let you know that the reason that it's so important now is to practice all the forgiveness, tie up all the loose ends that you have with relatives and your crazy family members. It's actually a time to release those old way of thinking, release your old patterns of aggression, of being the victim. I mean, if you're tired of saying the same story over and over, now is the time that you need to step up and change things. As you connect your conscious and your unconscious and get release and let go and shut down some of the faulty programs that you have that are running now, that's not things that aren't working for you, there's actually going to be a time as you go into your higher mind and you merge with your soul, you're going to be able to experience a new quietness and a focus and a detachment from all that you've known, your mother's known, your grandmother, and generations past. And they want you to actually be able to start beginning to think with your heart and to act and use your higher mind, because there's going to be a point in time the information's going to come through. I'm channeling 2 different books now that I'm going to try to get out as soon as I can. They're going to actually give you tools to be able to go back, and of course it's all happening at the same time, so for a better word, go back to your past lives, go to that thread of detachment and find out where it was at that one opportunity that you didn't get that lesson. You're going to be able to go in there, rewrite that, take that information, come back to where you are now, and make it work for you. So there is going to be, that's what Jill was saying, it's going to be this whole new, you're going to be able to write your new book. You're going to go back out, find out what didn't work for you, come back in, make new goals, and you're going to be in a higher place, and you're going to be vibrating in a higher state to where that's actually just going to naturally come to you, and you're going to be able to utilize that to really create what you want and make a difference.
There you go. Amen. 2012 also represents the culmination of, according to the Mayan and Aztec, 16.4 billion years of evolution. That enough responsibility for you? The current scientists say the universe is about 14 billion years old. The Mayans say it's 16.4. I would probably go with the Mayans because I've been right consistently. But that there's a 260-day pulse cycle of a galactic energy that comes from the center of the galaxy that's going to activate us in the last 260 days or so of 2012, which is actually the temple point at the top of Chichen Itza. Also, some interesting dates coming up. There is the harmonic convergence. I just want to get this out there because New York is very much a communications vortex. The harmonic convergence is going to be May 26th, 27th, and 28th of 2010, and is going to be the capstone of the energy of August 17th, 18th, and 19th of 1987. So we've got one last chance to get everybody on the planet together to do something positive to make sure things shift. There's a massive eclipse in May of 2012 that actually cuts across the western part of the United States. The penumbra of the eclipse is Mount Shasta, California. Has no spiritual significance whatsoever, right? And obviously Telos and Lemuria and all of these things and Saint Germain. But the eclipse actually then turns into a partial eclipse and then directly aligns over Chichen Itza. So for the first time in 26,000 years, you will actually have the sun, actually the constellation of the Pleiades, the sun and the moon directly aligned over Chichen Itza, creating a shadow of a serpent that they call the Quetzalcoatl serpent of wisdom, actually coming down the steps on that particular date. 16 days later, you actually have the Venus transit, where the goddess, the planet Venus, cuts across the sun, re-empowering Ishtar, Isis, the feminine aspect, the right-hand side of the brain. And there are crop circles now that are showing us that that in the 16-day period, massive changes and massive things are going to happen. And the Venus transit, another one happened in 2004. This one happens in 2012. Does not occur again for another 350 years. So it gives you an idea of how special the times that we live in actually are. Okay, let's open it up to questions to folks out there. Yes, sir, the very handsome man right in the middle there. Yes, sir.
Regarding the Atlantean energies coming back, I'm familiar with a number of people, and I'm a member of groups that just...
And I'll repeat the question for the tape and for the camera too, so if you guys can't hear it, so go ahead.
Okay, yeah. Well, essentially what I'm saying is there's a lot of information coming about the re-emergence of the Atlantean energies from a lot of different independent psychics, myself and some groups that I'm a member of. And some of the dates they're talking about, major events are going to occur between June 21st straight through July into August. They say major, like, big things. A lot of goddess energies are coming in, a lot of Athena, Isis, Diana, that sort of stuff coming in around that time. Can any one of you talk about anything that you know that's going to happen June 21st through July through August?
Well, I just want to say
Actually, hold on, let me repeat the question. What the gentleman's asking, what's your name, sir? I'm sorry? Michael. What Michael was asking was that, and I know everybody on the panel is probably going to weigh on this one, so thank you for the fabulous question. Are we repeating the cycle of Atlantis? This is for the camera and for the tape. The cycle of Atlantis, and are there activations that are going to be happening between June, July, August? In other words, this summer of 2009, what's the layout for the activation, and how are we actually possibly repeating the cycle of Atlantis? Take it, James.
Okay, my latest book that is out is called Aliens from Atlantis, from the Galaxy of Andromeda, in which I channel Paul Konak, and X-34. Matter of fact, that exclusive was here 4 years ago at this very expo. And just yesterday at the workshop, if you have been in my workshop, I channeled the Atlanteans yesterday. So let me answer the question that you answered, that you requested. First of all, there's going to be new information that is given out at 1 o'clock from the Atlanteans from the Galaxy of Andromeda. In addition, the time frame that you requested, not this year, but the following year. A lot of times what happens, thank you, Danny has just gave confirmation. We both are in a complete agreement on it. It's 2010. That is when there's more information that's supposed to be coming out. And the question about what the prophecy says is that 2010 is the first part in which mankind, and womankind if you like, will evolve, and the new powers of the evolutionary change in the human being, in which the humankind were going to become more telepathic so that they are able to communicate with extraterrestrials. So you don't need to say, you'll just be able to understand what they're saying when they do speak, and some will be able to communicate in English. Danny, you got anything to say about that?
And by the way, eep, op, ork, does mean I love you. So it's just
Same-sex marriage.
Okay.
Jetsons fans out there.
The Love Muffin said there'll be same-sex marriage in June. Okay, so there's a chance for us, James. Okay, so.
The love that dare not speak its name.
Okay. Okay, when you're talking about Atlantean energy, Michael, you're talking about mechanical energy. You're talking about mind-matter interfacing. Cyber electronic technology is Atlantean. That's is where this all operates from. So what we'll see is advancement in this kind of weaponry. There'll be the release and exposure of some type of weaponry. We're now looking at the new MRI systems to scan for lie detection and brain activity. All this is Atlantean stuff. They sought to create mechanical operating equipment, some good, some bad. But what we have to watch from now to June is the G20 summit. I beg you to pay attention to every single press release that comes out of the G20 summit. It will lay down and pay attention to what the Chinese and the Russians are doing, trying to create a basket currency so that the dollar loses its reserve power and we become France. Now they have put this.
The Chinese made that announcement Monday that they don't
and
want
the Russians
they don't
did
want
it
the
2
dollar
months ago.
Yeah.
Okay,
So
this is going to be the battle that we'll watch for. The new systems of accountability, the brand new rules and regulations, cyberspace, all plastic, no cash. This is all Atlantean business too. The next thing you pay attention to is the weaponry the Israelis say they're going to use against the Iranians. When you listen that they can have a nuclear Iran, and how do they knock out communications? Anytime you have an atomic explosion or a nuclear explosion, it puts out a pulse beam that deactivates copper. So anything that's a chip, anything that produces electrons for transfer of information, they have a bomb made that you don't need now to blow up with a nuclear weapon. You can just blow out the circuitry. This is all Atlantean technology. It's all cyber warfare, like James is talking about. Now, well, the positive, but I don't, listen, if it's going to happen no matter what.
Good for you, Michael.
If it's going to happen no matter what, it's making sure you're making the right decisions as you look at it, because I believe there's a rise of a third party, and what Sean made reference to. The third party is us. We are the people we've been waiting for, everybody.
There you go, yeah.
And I think I'm a little Lemurian myself. You know, I have a little Atlantean.
Lemuria, yay, Lemuria.
I have a little Lemurian, a little Atlantean attitude, but I'm not against anything. I'm for stuff. But when you watch Growing Organs, where we saw Pegasus, where we seen minotaurs, these animals, a combination.
I was going to ask you, genetics is mostly Atlantean stuff, right? All this.
That's what's the last point. When you look at these winged horses, all these things in mythology, beast of burden, these were another Atlanteans. The Atlanteans were the genetic engineers. So one of the positive sides of being Atlantean technology is the regrowing of organs. We will master in 10 years that anything that goes wrong with you, we can grow a brand new one, stem-celled, stem-celled, cloning, this will happen. You'll be able to grow a brand new organ, and all this will come from an energetic medicine. I think our great revolution, everybody, that we should watch for is the day because of the rise of quantum mechanics. If quantum mechanics is in place, that means everything is reduced to energy. It has to have a proton, electron, and a neutron, or it does not work from ghost to healing. Does not work in this level of dimension without operating in that sphere of energy.
Say at the end, or Jill, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to say one thing.
Absolutely.
There are times where, the U.S. is more equipped than you think, and I want everyone to think positive. I'm not the Paula Abdul Hill, but I just want, but I just want, thank you. But I just want, we are, it takes catastrophes for us to get, how do you say the word? Catastrophes for us to get stronger and be more equipped in the U.S. And we are stronger than China. We are stronger than Russia. Israel will always be behind our back. They are stronger than both those countries. And I do not see, we are equipped. I just want to think, everyone to think positive, and nothing's going to happen.
Okay, Christian, you got something to say?
Yeah, a couple things.
We got lots of questions, so make it short and sweet, okay?
I'm actually going to answer Michael's question.
Yeah, okay.
And then I'm going to come back and talk with you guys about something. You don't realize this, but I actually started computer technology back in the 1960s, ran around the world developing that and speaking to other countries, introducing the technology. Okay. I have something to add, long before him. Okay, Michael, life evolves through stages. As I mentioned, one of those stages of development was an Atlantean stage. There was a consciousness that applied to the whole world that was Atlantean. And right now, and the Hindus name these stages, and we're in what's called an Aryan stage now. Everybody's sort of in the same boat. Everybody was in an Atlantean stage, and that's where we developed emotions. That's where we learned art, singing, beauty, how to feel, okay? Also very psychic back then. Before that stage was the Lemurian age that was mentioned up here, and the Lemurian is where we transferred, or went beyond the animal stage, starting to become more solid and more human-like. There was a Balerian and a Hyperbalerian before that. There'll be several stages beyond this stage. But what's happening now, and right now it's more of a mental stage, we're learning, getting wisdom. What's happening in the date you're talking about is we're going to start reincorporating those things we've learned. Because as we go through these stages, we forget the others, and we're focused on just that stage of development. Now we're going to start reincorporating them in and become bigger people. Now, the technology we have to worry about, guys, is nanotechnology. That's how we're going to be invaded with cyber war.
Okay. Just add this to your syllabus. I'll take your question in a second. If you want to know a little bit more about Atlantis, obviously there's most of the information we have from Atlantis comes from the Edgar Cayce material. There's also an excellent book. It's a little hard to find, but you can find it on Amazon. It's called A Dweller in Two Worlds by Philos the Tibetan, P-H-Y-L-O-S, and he talks about life in Atlantis as well. Most of the material that we have on Lemuria, Lemuria supposedly lasted about 52,000 years or so, but comes from a man named Frank Churchward, and Frank Churchward also did a book called Maps of the Ancient Sea Kings as well. But most of the Lemurian stuff, Lemuria supposedly was in the Pacific, which is now the islands of Fiji and Tonga, the Marshall Islands, an area that's now being called Oceania, and of course Atlantis was supposedly in the Atlantic with New York in this area. Atlantis gets kind of a bad rap, I think, because even though it lasted many hundreds of thousands of years, it supposedly destroyed itself with technology, and according to the mythology, Atlantis eventually warred on Lemuria. So anyway, add those to your syllabus. Gentleman in the back's been jumping up and down. So yes, sir. What can I do? And you have a question? Yes.
Yes. My question is regarding the power of the heart and the power of the word.
The power of the heart and the power of the word. I'm repeating your question for the tape. Yes, sir.
And because all of those ancient civilizations, you always had temple and priests in the temple.
You've had ancient civilizations had temples and priests in the temples. Yes, sir. Who maintain the civilization
by the spoken word and by chant.
By the spoken word and by chants, as in chanting. Oh, money, padam, chanting. Okay. So, what's your question, sir?
My question is: has any of you addressed the frequency of energy called the violet or infrared, the violet spectrum, which is the highest vibrating energy?
Okay, have we addressed this frequency of energy, which is the violet spectrum energy? I'm going to give this one to Thomas. Okay, to Thomas. We have actually, just to answer your question too, I got a CD back there which is called the Violet Flame or Violet Fire God Force Meditation that we do in the workshops and whatever else. Take it, Thomas.
Right, so for about the last 25 years, we've been working with frequency enhancement, actually for about the last 25,000 or even farther back than that. But nevertheless, the violet flame being the transmuting flame, actually it's the activity of the law of grace. Actually, in this particular frequency, we've been able to bring this in the light spectrum. It's above the ultraviolets, and we can actually emit it now with our technology to actually transmute the environment of a room and actually create a controlled environment in the room. So yes, it's done. We can create it, we can recreate it, and we're doing that regularly. And we got software and things coming out right now that are going to be able to actually assist people to actually tap into that. And you're absolutely correct. The other piece is the power of the spoken word and the power of the heart. And absolutely, in all the ancient civilizations, the teachings was the same: to take the power of the mind, bring it to the center of the heart, and speak and think from this place. This is our universal eternal peace. See, we have two laws in the universe acting: finite and infinite. Okay, we, as our personality and our ego, is in a finite reality. Finite says everything that had a beginning will have an end. Infinite says that everything that never had a beginning will never have an end. We're also infinite beings. Our right hemisphere of our brain is tapped into our infinite. The left hemisphere is tapped into finite. Finite is developed in this third dimension to actually operate and get things done in this dimension. Infinite is to pull from universal mind into our activity experience and bridge it to actually creating in this environment. We got it backwards. We've actually switched over where the ego thinks it's God, that it's actually trying to create and figure out, and the finite or the infinite piece has been blocked. And many of us are just walking around banging our heads against the wall because we're just totally out of sync. These temples were created to create a controlled environment so a student could enter into this controlled frequency that would balance both hemispheres, opening up the doorway to the infinite and allowing the student to bridge clearly back to the finite and utilize both hemispheres of the brain to carry a message of divinity to the multitudes. So here we are. Now the temple itself is being transitioned into this temple here. This temple here is truly the eternal activity in the physical plane, the representation of it, and we are actually transmuting and transitioning, transfiguring that temple into a light body, where soon we will be stepping through the veil, in and out, and not be subject to the physical plane and bound to these planes. So in this case, what we do with our work is help the individual tap back into the infinite, get both hemispheres lined up, bridge, and be the infinite that they are, or the divine that they are, in the expression of that. So as we're speaking here, our whole process is to bring back universal love, the Christ consciousness universal on the planet, eternal. And that's what we are. We're talking about seeking understanding from Atlantis and Mu and Lemuria. We were all there.
Welcome back.
You know, we don't leave. We don't die. Death is non-existent. I do. I actually do. So pardon?
What's your booth number?
207.
207.
Yeah, I'll pass it on because there's other people who want to share.
One comment about that too. I mean, metaphysicians and people in the psychic communities or metaphysical communities for all this time. Come on, Joe. Come on, that's okay. Just walk in front of me. I've talked about the violet light and the violet fire as being a purifying meditation. Science is now taking that to the next level. We use violet light or ultraviolet light specifically as an antiseptic. We use it for to eliminate germs. They pull your blood out of your body and run it through an ultraviolet light machine. And then put it back in your body, a la Keith Richard, although I think he's using newborn babies as a juice box as well. So,
I just want to share.
Because he's really messed up, man. It's like, have some more ultraviolet light, baby.
I just want to share one last thing. The most important thing we can do is summed up in one word.
And that is?
Service.
Service, amen. Next question. Somebody down here. Yes, lovely lady. Yes, ma'am. Stand up, ask a question. Come on. I know how shy and retiring you New Yorkers are. I can't get an opinion out of you ever. That's right. Your wings are big. So good.
I got to serve now.
Good.
Talking about the positive aspects of technology.
The positive aspects of technology, yes.
And how technology is disappearing into our clothes, disappearing into our bodies. Can anybody talk about a little bit more about the singularity and when that might be? How we're going to start,
The singularity. Do you understand this question? The singularity and how it might.
When that might happen.
Oh, you mean how technology and?
It's going to dovetail. We're going to all start behaving like one single organism.
Okay, how?
The instant communicative powers of technology in our bodies.
Oh, I see. Okay, so like putting a cell phone in your head, in other words, and just having your hand ring. Of course, very uncomfortable when the fax comes out the other end, I would think. It's got a fax coming through. Okay, one huge organism. One quick. Hold on 1 second, Christian. One quick comment about that. In a document called The Wing Makers that I published in my newsletter back in like 1997, the Advanced Contact Intelligence Organization talked about how there was a chip that actually went in the hippocampus that actually increased the speed of transmission between the right and left-hand sides of the brain. And these scientists supposedly had this chip actually put in their brain. Now, this sounded like complete science fiction to me, but if anybody was familiar, you can actually check it out on wingmakers.com. It's actually very, very interesting stuff. I published all this stuff in my newsletter. Then, at the University of Southern California, which is my college, in the part of the geriatrics division that's then mixed with biotechnology, that's then under military contracts, they're actually developing this chip at the University of Southern California to supposedly combat Alzheimer's and whatever else. But it's a chip that actually goes in the hippocampus in the brain that increases the transfer of information, which is actually what Thomas's technology does, increases the transfer of information from the right and left-hand sides of the brain. Supposedly, according to Wing Makers, they said it took these scientists to... They said they stopped counting their IQ at something like 1,000 or something, and they're supposedly doing this somewhere else. Short and sweet. What do you got, Christian?
Yeah. By the way, I do see your wings. They are very, very large.
There you go.
It's very
See?
distinctive all the way from over here.
This is one of my
Yeah.
ladies from my workshops. And
Look
look
around the crook of the neck on both sides, and you'll see a grayish-white blur. Okay.
There you go.
But
It works.
in
I'm
time,
telling
if you
you, it
look at the right angle, you start
my
seeing
thing. I'll
color,
give
and
you
the
guys
color will
some
mean
wings.
something. Well, you're raising that. And by the way, as you believe in angels, that grows and grows and grows. And it's falling over your shoulders, and that's why it looks like wings. When you get to be about 70, just about my age, people will start calling you angel because they're psychically sensing that. Now listen, this technology that we're talking about is very, very microscopic, this nanotechnology. It's actually, we're talking about machines. Those are machines, okay? They have a purpose. They do things. It's just very much like transistors back in the 60s, okay? So we're building these little machines to do specific things, and the medical field is where we'll use them the most because we want that. And by the way, this singularity you're talking about, it's going to be our choice. We're deciding to do that. So within 100 years, this will all come about. But we're deciding we want all these improvements. And it also tends to be cheaper, more efficient to go that way. So we're causing this unity, and if we don't like it, of course, that's our problem. But no one's imposing it on us. We're going to do that.
Okay. All right.
Behold, Timar speaks. Thank you all for loving me so many years that you have. And those of you who have come to learn more about the experiences of those who wandered from outer space to our planet, I want you to know that there has been a great love and transition in this space. And I have more to say, but I wanted to just come to wish you all well and tell you that I am in a good place, and that love and abundance and light is around me and also shall abide in all of you.
Amen. Thank you. Okay, got enough rope there?
Okay, I wanted to just add one more thing.
Got
I
it.
wanted to add one more quick thing about nanotechnology, and it's an emerging science. But nanotechnology is robots. It's machinery that on the molecular level constructs itself. So when you start to talk about singularity, the possibility of reconstructing yourself as if to clone and reproduce yourself is now within our grasp. That's already here. The thing about nanotechnologies is you have to start determining how long you plan to live, how long you're planning on to put yourself into place for how long you want to exist in this plane. And that's very important. And one more thing about Michael. I have my great prediction. I believe that when we go from analog to digital television, when this happens in June, and we go from analog to digital, high compressed digital transmission called HD on your television, the rise of electro voice phenomena and video voice and video picture phenomena will boom. You will see creatures beings walking across your television set. You'll see them on your computers, I know on your iPhones, because a spiritual being or a being in another level harmonizes with the frequency that it exists in. How consciousness and mediums work is you enter the plane, and because you function at a certain level, what you do is vibrate till you harmonize with the dimension that you're in. So when you have a digital instead of analog, which is amplitude modulation and frequency modulation, two complete different signals into one compressed signal, the world of the beyond will become the world of every day. And what the best and the funniest thing going to be watched is looking at surveillance cameras, videos taken by surveillance cameras. When you see these beings walking around, you'll see people in the surveillance cameras. They don't see the beings, but your camera will see the beings. And I think that that's another part of this Atlantean business that Michael was talking about. But so please, everybody, get high definition, get your little box. And when you're sitting watching your favorite show or sitting at the March Madness or sitting at Super Bowl, you think about mom or dad or your friends that sat with you and watch those who've passed, and watch them come and watch the game with you.
There you go. That's all you need is your mom coming to the TV going, put your pants on, stop doing that. Clean this place up. What's up with you? I go away for just a little while, you turn into a slob. That's fantastic. I got you, 5 minutes. Intelligence divorced from compassion is insanity. Robert Oppenheimer, when he exploded the atomic bomb, said, we have opened the eye of Shiva, we've become gods ourselves. It's the second guy that went up to him and said, yeah, Bob, what you mean is we've all become a bunch of sons of bitches, is what he said. It's the second guy that actually connected into that. Yes, the pretty lady holding her hand up with the camera. Yes, ma'am. We got like 5 minutes of this. This has to be a quick question because I want to get a parting shot from everybody on the panel, okay? Surveillance cameras, EVP phenomenon, yes? Okay. Oh yeah, okay, all right. Here's a good question. Actually, let me ask Stacy this one. Stacy, you want to talk about the question is that what Daniel is talking about is when we make the switch to HD, that there'll be a massive increase in paranormal phenomenon and EVP phenomenon. What we've all noticed is there's a huge increase in orb phenomenon. As the camera and photographic equipment, like you have, has gotten better, we've started to see the angelic world. How many people have seen Jose Escamilla's stuff on not only orbs, but the the rods as well. These six-winged, I think they're seraphim actually. I mean, these six-winged angelic beings. So, Stacy, you want to comment on the orb phenomenon a little bit and what this is?
I think, well, I'm not really sure exactly what, as far as specifically for time-wise, as far as the orb phenomenon, but when I do my sessions with my clients and I connect them to the other side and I tell them what's around them and set up a communication system between them, normally I just see past loved ones, I see angels, I see ancient beings, spirit guides and things. But just in the last 6 months, I've really started seeing quite a few of different beings that I've never seen before. They're half this, half that, a lot of orbs, a lot of unicorns and a lot of things from the Lantamperians that I'm seeing, and I'm starting to draw them and I have no idea what I'm drawing, and they're giving me their names, they're giving me messages, they're connecting with the individual that I'm doing the session with and giving them life altering ways that they want them to communicate with them so they can actually alter and get ready for this shift. So I'm really seeing a lot of things that you're speaking of in some of my sessions when the other side's communicating with us.
I personally think it's angelic. I mean, there's no reason why angels have to have arms and legs and whatever else. They appear as spheres, as rods, as as various types of geometric shapes. So let me do this, and actually we're going to combine you because I'm going to go this way, back and forth. So just to wrap this up, why don't you comment on it? And I need a parting shot. I need about 1 minute or so
just
a parting shot of what you want to say. What do people right now, ancient prophecies, modern predictions, what do people need to know right now from you? Go.
What they need to know right now is that we're changing again. I mentioned that when we started from the ego stage to a higher stage, we have to start thinking now about unity. Okay, we have to stop thinking about ourselves because that's what this transition is all about. We're no longer worried about ourselves, we're worried about being part of humanity. Now, I want to add something new about these orbs. Everything in existence has an aura, even a rock. A lot of these orbs are the way consciousness of different types is actually presenting themselves. We see that Hamas or Tahas more easily. Even fairies, for example, they'll be very bright. Their faces are bright because that inner beauty shines. Saints in Christianity always had that aura around them, okay? That inner beauty and higher consciousness comes out and is more evident. Even if you see nature people, you'll see a little aura, like an egg around them. We all have this egg around us. Deva means the shining ones, and that was a term for angels as well. So when we get to that inner beauty in us, which you should have also, and as you raise consciousness, you'll be those bright orbs too, we will tend to shine like that. So those orbs can be lots and lots of different things.
So what would be, okay, all right, there you go. Thomas More, Christian, his booth is 415. Big round of applause for Christian. Excellent contributor to the panel today. Thomas Morton, stand up for a second. Give me your parting shot. What do people most need to know right now?
Okay, you take your consciousness, shut your eyes, and bring it right here to your heart, and be in this place right here, and express yourself from your divinity. Be the divinity that you are, and do not participate with lack consciousness. Don't go along with thoughts of being lack, being less than, but on the opposite tip, know that you're infinite, that you're able to actually do anything. There's no limitation, and you're able to do anything. Hold to that. Do not participate with doubt. Stay in the now. Stay present. Resonate the love to everybody you come into contact with, no matter what their outer appearance seems to be. Serve everyone selflessly. Don't look at anybody or judge them because of their outer condition. Look to the soul. Connect with that. Communion with that. Be in presence and be in your divinity with that. And sustain it. Do not move away from it. Hold it and bring it forward. And at the end of each day, ask yourself, how many people did I help today?
Reverend James, stand up, take it away. What do people most need to know right now?
I'm going to be real quick. We want you to know that the next generation of development given from the Atlanteans, from the galaxy of Andromeda, was developing the fifth eye. The new magenta children, the new color found in the auric fields, which are 7 different shades of purple, how they are identified. And as we are moving into the year 2012, will be the tip of the iceberg in which newfound evolution for people who have gifts shall be developed, and they shall be no longer terrible doctors splitting you open, but they shall be real medical intuitives that shall come upon the planet. And those who are developing spiritual powers and gifts of telepathy shall be the new intergalactic communicators. I am Dr. Capers and Poop 218 wishing you well. Thank you.
Reverend James Capers. Our pal, the lovely Stacy Breeze. Take it, Stacy.
Thank you. You all have so many helpers on the other side that you haven't even, you have no idea. And what they've asked me to kind of convey to you this weekend through different modalities is just please communicate with them. They can't help you unless you ask. So you need to be specific. You need to take 5 minutes before you go to sleep at night. Give them, it doesn't matter if you know their names, what they look like, who they are, spirit guide, whatever. Just talk to them, write to them, tell them what you want. This is 3 things that I need help with tomorrow. They can't, they keep saying, just tell them I can't help them unless they ask. So tell them, give them things that you're thankful for, they'll give you more of it. Tell them what you need help with. Tell them what's working for you, what's not. And if you give them jobs and how to make this transition easier for you, they'll actually be able to help you with that. So you're not alone. You have a lot of helpers, just ask for the help and they'll give it to you.
The lovely Stacy Breeze. And she is speaking at 1 o'clock. Do we know Gramercy Park? This room, I don't know, Mark left, but she's speaking at 1 o'clock after this, and I believe she's in. You can find her in the program guide. But if you want a reading from Stacy today or tomorrow, because Stacy's giving a special event tomorrow as well, I believe she's in booth 204. Jill Dane, before you take a sip of that coffee, lay it on us, you love muffin you. What is it?
Well, first of all, they don't want you up there. They're having too big of a party.
Hold the mic up.
Okay.
Hold the mic up. Hold the mic up.
They're having too big of a party. Okay.
They don't want Daniel pooping.
They don't want him up there. He has too much to teach other people. First of all, if you sit there, and I tell people on my radio show every Sunday, if you call up a family member or a friend or someone that you had an argument with or you haven't spoken to in 10 years, everybody, once they pass, wants to say something to that person. And then they're sad and they say, oh, Jill or to whoever else, God, I wish I would have done this. Do it now. You're in the now. And with all this negative, I've been predicting my whole life since I was 6 years old. I've been on radio and TV. Positive. We always outcome positive. We're stronger than anyone out there, any force out there. Every person in here has a shield around them. You all have healing abilities, and use your healing abilities. Use your mind. Mind is stronger than matter. Remember that. Always this year is stronger than any energy out there, any orb out there. And the majority of the orbs out there are angels that watch over you. So no matter what happens in your life, you could go into an accident, you could get sick. Eat healthier. Eat healthier. What you put in your body causes a lot of these things. But start looking after you for once and taking care of other people. If you see a stranger on the street, be nice to them, be kind. Just don't look at them like, oh, my God. I'm in New York City. I lost all my money in one day already because I see people on the street, and I rather let them eat before I eat. So if you do one good deed a day or a month, it comes back to you. That's what karma is. So wouldn't you want to just have the best karma in the world? So all of you, it's called love. Even though I'm the love psychic, I'm a medical intuitive, I solve murder cases, but it's about love. And all you have to do, everyone in here, we're all here for a reason. We all were in another life together before. We're all like family. So before you leave, shake each other's hands, say, how are you? You're going to feel better. Call a family member up that you're not talking to, and just hang up the phone if you don't want to talk to them. Just say, I love you. And that's it.
I got you. You couldn't reject me.
And I'll be speaking at 3 o'clock, and I'm giving world predictions as well.
Yeah, okay. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to wrap it up here, the big dog himself, the Ramblin' Wreck from Georgia Tech. Here he is, the Danyan.
Okay, so I'd like to go back to the meaning of life so you know what to do. If you listen to what everybody says, in a near-death experience, you're going to see your life pass before you. You're going to watch it from a spiritual point of view in grace. Then you're going to literally see yourself as if you were your best friend, the way we interact with friends. Then you're going to become every person. And you're going to feel the direct results of your interaction between you and that person. So if you listen to what everybody's describing here, the near-death experience says it's all about how much grace and divinity you put forth in your recognition of your divinity, of your own divine self. What we created, what Catherine and I created, is the fourfold path, and it's not new, it's ancient technology. But it's put in such a way that you really empower yourself with the fact that when this part of your life ends and you review it, it'll be how much spirituality, how much love, how much hope, how much choice, how much courage, how much inspiration you put in the lives of the people you come in contact with. What we do at 3 o'clock is to go through those structures so that you can frame reality as it unfolds in front of you. But remember, your life will pass before you. And when you look back at this life in your review, if divinity couldn't come today and it had sent you, what difference did divinity make? So we do what each of these people say, because it's not something that we're trying to bring back. It's something that we're only trying to be more aware of in our intentions, in our daily exercise. So hope you come at 3 o'clock. And I want to tell you I love you very much, and I appreciate you very much for coming here to see us at this panel. Thank you.
Amen. Just a quick announcement. Hold on a second. Reverend James Capers is on at 1 p.m. Stacey Bree is on at 1 p.m. Daniel Brinkley is in the Murray Hill Room at 2 p.m. He has a special event at 3 p.m. in Central Park. Lovely Madam Jill Dane is in the Murray Hill Room at 3 p.m. The fantastic John Oliver is at 4 p.m. I'm at 5 p.m. popping angel wings in a special event tonight at 6. Gee, I had this amazing thing I was going to tell you about the meaning of life and secrets and prophecies, but everybody's going. So, all is one, life has purpose, God is love. Just remember you are angels, the messengers of El. Live that every day. God bless. Amen. Have a good one.